Chapter 351 Winding Land. Who knows, I just delivered her food and put it in front of the door of the room. I don't dare to go in and disturb her. Stayed in Ogimotoya for more than a day. Today. Finally, from two old geishas. I heard about it. Only. What made Yuki Inosuke feel a little confused? If it's just a physical discomfort. If this little thing is. How could the contact be interrupted? How do you think of this? It's a bit like it makes people feel. There is a bit of conspiracy inside. So. Inosuke Yuki followed the direction the geisha just now. Looking forward all the way. And at this moment. In a room outside the corners. What Izuki and Yuri Tianyuan want to find. Now there are layers of bright ribbons. Entangled all over the body. Hang in the middle of the room. Come on, answer, answer. Tell me, who do you want to send these letters to? What's your name? I remember it, it's. Before you are swallowed by me, please answer this question quickly. Tilda. Now. In the corner of this room. One had 6 flower buns on his head. There are plum blossom tattoos on the left and right forehead. A very charming and beautiful woman. Just thinking about it. Staring at the opposite side, struggling constantly. And in her left and right pupils. Then they are engraved with winding strings. With a word, Lu. She is the Wind String Land Temini Ghost Fallen Girl in 12 Ghosts in 12 Ghosts. However. Even at this time, I was in danger. Facing life and death. In my mind. But he was still thinking about completing the task assigned to him by Yuxi Tianyuan. Only. The current situation. No matter what she does. Even the information cannot be effectively transmitted. And. She also completely lost contact with the other 2 people. If she can't come up with a solution sooner. And if you escape from this winding ghost. Then I'm afraid she really has no chance. It's at this moment. The face of Duoji, who was standing opposite him, suddenly showed an angry look on his face. It seems that my good things were suddenly disturbed. Frowning and saying in a deep voice. Someone is here again. Sure enough, there are so many people from Ogimotoya who are very nosy. Almost as the words fell. The fallen girl uses colored ribbons directly. 0.5 will directly lift the entire person to the ceiling. And threatened fiercely. If you dare to make a sound to attract attention, then I will crush all your internal organs directly. Quote. So please keep it quiet. And outside the door. Almost the same time. With his keen sense of 5 senses, Inosuke was attracted by his keen senses. Found this place too. Chapter 352 Discover Whereabouts. Inosuke Hirohira hides at the corner. He stared at the room with a dining plate at the door. That is, in the room where both of them were located. And on the face of Hirai Inosuke. Then he showed a look of doubt. The woman before said that she put the food at the door, and it must be this one. That is, this is the room here. But it's really strange. I always feel like something is wrong. It seems like it's awful right now. It's really a bit confused. Why does that room, that is, in the room, have that kind of sticky and disgusting feeling? As a child, Inosuke, who has been urinating in the mountains and forests. There are 5 very keen senses. After realizing the strange state in the room. Then he suddenly stood up. He rushed over without thinking. No way. It is not his style to stay where he is. And. After seeing Yi use extremely powerful strength. Inosuke is in his heart. He directly regarded Yi Yu as his idol. So. He can kill this winding ghost. However. When Inosuke Hiraki rushed over directly. After pulling the door open. But he was shocked to find out. Although the room looks dull. And there is no one. But just observe it for a moment. Inosuke Yuhei discovered something strange. In this room with closed doors and windows. The moment he opened the door. But there were actually slight wind flowing in the room. Logically speaking. This should be completely impossible. So the truth. There seems to be only one. On the ceiling. Yuki Inosuke suddenly raised his head. Looked to the ceiling. Then he grabbed the dining plate placed outside the door. He threw it straight towards the ceiling. At the same time, he shouted, "It's indeed ghost because it's broad daylight now, so I ran away from it. Hey, bastard, you've already exposed your money, why don't you get out for me quickly?" Bang! After a crisp sound. Not only did the opportunity not show up. Instead, it was directly in the hiding attic. A fast-moving sound was made. Apparently. She is not afraid of being afraid of Harai Inosuke. But because it's day now, she couldn't show up directly. So, she would escape in the dark loft. Damn it, don't even want to escape in front of me. I will surpass Lord Yu in the future, how can I let you escape? Inosuke Yuke was very warlike. With the powerful 5 senses. He chased him out quickly. Where are you going? Where is that guy going to escape? Chapter 353, Lost. Is it because it's daytime now, so I'm going to escape from the roof? But if I want to leave, I will definitely find a place to go down the wall. Then I just need to keep staring at that wall and smash it through it, I should be able to successfully pull out the ghost inside. Inosuke Hira made a decision instantly. The easiest and rough way to use. Come and force this ghost to appear. However, just as he raised his fist, when he was about to smash the wall opposite that the fallen girl would pass when she left, a drunk man but suddenly appeared there. Oh, isn't this a girl who looks very cute too? The drunk man saw the dim eyes of Yuke Inosuke rushing towards him. A hint of joy suddenly appeared on his face. However, his words had just been spoken. The other party's big fist. Then he slammed heavily into his face. Bang! A powerful force. He directly twisted and deformed the drunk man's facial features. And the other person's figure. Also under the impact of this huge force. Heavy hit the wall. On the wall. Cracks suddenly appeared. Only. To this extent. But with the state that Inosuke wants to achieve. Very far apart. The walls were not completely broken. It is impossible to expose the ghost that moves from it. Damn it, she actually escaped from the bottom after a mistake. Yuke Inosuke ignored the drunkard who was knocked out at all. And the geishas around them screamed. He turned around and chased downwards. But obviously, the speed of the fallen G is much faster than that of him. Just now, I've taken no 2 steps. Yuhei Inosuke stood in place in a dilemma. Keep looking back and forth. Isn't it right here? Is it right here? It's so damn. The distance is too far, and it's hard to accurately sense her breath. I actually lost all the kid, who just jumped out and made trouble. I really should go back and put him down 8 yuan. On the other side. My wife, Simono, is located in Kyoko house. He has been having a very uneasy these 2 days. The madam died on the street for no reason. Business has fallen from now on. My wife, Shani, was stunned in the corridor. Wandering aimlessly. In my mind. But he kept asking questions himself. After just 2 days, I felt like I was lost. I'm here, but to find out the 3rd wife of Yuxi Tianyuan, that guy MR's. Zachichi's. However, no matter how hard you practice Sanwakusen and Chin, it is useless. But what else can I do? Although I always have my ears erect and I carefully distinguish all the sounds in the whole building. Chapter 354 Being Caught. But in the end, I heard no news about Mrs. Hinahi. On the contrary, those vulgar fans are all dirty words, and there is no trace of useful information. But there is nothing we can do about it. Who made the store manager's wife fall from the building and die 2 days ago? So everyone's mood should be very heavy now, and they don't want to speak very much, right? When I think of this. My wife, Shan Yi, sighed helplessly. And at this moment. His keen hearing. But I was attracted by a very small whimpering cry of 070. Although the sound is a little weak. Still a bit far away. But he still noticed it keenly. It seems something happened. A girl was actually crying. Seeing a girl crying. My wife, Shani, suddenly forgot about her original intention of coming here. full of concern, in the direction where the sound is made. He ran over quickly. Not long. My wife, Simon Eddy, was in a messy room. A thin girl was found. Now, the girl is squatting on the ground, crying with his head in his arms. Oh, what's wrong here? Is there a quarrel? Do you have to worry? My wife, Zhenyi's brainless attributes suddenly exploded. Rush forward directly. Continuously comforting. If you have anything to worry about, please follow me. However, he hasn't finished speaking yet. A powerful pressure. Then it came from behind him like a flood. My wife Shani was stunned. Hey, stinky kid, what are you doing in someone else's room? The fallen girl who just escaped from Ogimotoya. The human form has been restored again. When she saw my wife, Simono, appear in her room. On the beautiful face, a look of extreme disgust suddenly appeared. Yes. She hates this ugly-looking little guy in front of her. It's the sound of Ghost. It's not wrong. The guy behind me is Ghost. Only one sentence. My wife, Shani, suddenly stood there in a stiff state. Swallowed subconsciously. He almost confirmed it extremely. The sound just now. It is absolutely impossible for humans to emit it. However, what really made him feel cold? Until the ghost behind him spoke. He was completely unable to discover the other party's existence. The other party's quiet posture. Instead, it makes people feel even more terrifying. How is this possible? At the same time, this also shows that the opponent's strength is obviously much higher than that of him. Could it be said? Could this ghost be the guy Yuxi Tianyuan? What you are looking for on this trip? That powerful, winding ghost, right? Chapter 355 The famous. When I think of this, my wife, Shanyi's body trembles frequently. Then it became more and more intense. If you encounter winding ghost, then this time but it's really dead. Hey, stinky little guy, didn't you hear me talking? Or are your ears deaf? The fallen jade shouted impatiently. Fern girl's courtesan. That person has just arrived in the past 2 days, so. 2 trembling little maids outside the room. He was hiding carefully beside the door. The voice trembled and explained. No matter who can see it. The 2 of them. Very afraid of his own master in front of him. So what? The fallen goddess turned her head fiercely. He really has the intention to deal with the 2 of them. And my wife, Shan Yi, always wanted to speak. If you want to find a reason to make excuses. But the pressure the other party gave him. It's really too powerful. He can only be like a fool. He stood there blankly. Let the situation develop downward. Only. But he couldn't watch the 2 little maids being punished for him. Then he mustered up the courage. He spoke to the Soji. I'm really sorry that I broke in without your consent. It's just because I saw the mess in the room and there was a girl crying. But what is surprising is that, compared to his poor excuse, Duoji obviously cared about his appearance more. When I saw my wife, Simono's ugly dress on her face, he showed disgust without demonstration. He said with a very disdainful tone. You are too ugly. Just taking a look at you makes people feel a little disgusted. Why don't you die? This will make people feel more comfortable. And what's going on with your hair color? Did you mean to attract attention? The room is indeed still in such a mess, but I had already told her to clean it before leaving. 0. While talking, the fallen girl stepped forward. He actually pinched the ears of the little girl who was squatting on the ground and crying. He lifted her up directly. A powerful force almost pulled the other person's ears. Tear it off directly. The blood flowed downward from the corners of the ear. The little girl's crying became more and more miserable. But the fallen girl was unmoved at all. Instead, he looked tyrannical and disgusted, yelled. It's so noisy. Why are you crying? Why don't you clean up the room for me? I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I'll clean it right away, please forgive me. The little girl quickly apologized in panic. But at this moment, the fallen girl was angry. obviously not ready to let go. Still torture this poor child. The two little maids outside the door were so scared that they kept sobbing in a low voice. The scene was extremely miserable. Chapter 356. The past 2 days ago. However, at this moment, one trembling, but very powerful little hands. But he directly held Duji's wrist, which was constantly exerting force. My wife, Shani, resisted the fear in her heart, pretending to be brave and said, "Please let this child go." The fallen girl was stunned. Somehow, in her mind, I instantly recalled that night 2 days ago. The boss of Kyoko House takes advantage of the night. Come to the door alone. And with an angry face, she directly listed the many evil deeds she committed. Try to use this as a threat. Let the fallen girl restrain her. You can stop at me. What are you referring to? Duoji asked with an extremely plain expression. I mean the children in our store were injured, ran away, and committed suicide. Those children who commit suicide do such stupid things because they can't stand your bullying. The madam said angrily. This is really ugly, boss lady. The expression on Duji's face gradually became ferocious. A sharp look. Staring at the madam opposite. He spoke slowly. Shouldn't you be on my side? Don't you think, if you want to blame, can you blame those idiots for provoking me? That's why I'm doing that to them, but what's wrong with me doing this? Terrible eyes. A terrible tone. House, I've been accommodating you before, and I've always turned a blind eye and closed my eyes. The madam was obviously frightened by the cold expression of the Suli. But I still endure the timidity in my heart. Gritting his teeth and continuing. But what you are doing is too much now, and I can no longer protect you. Hold me. The fallen girl showed a disdainful ridicule. He stared at the madam with a cruel face and said, Who do you think this store can grow and grow into the scene you are like today? However, the madam saw this. He was so scared that he was trembling. The body also subconsciously took a step back. He exclaimed. A long time ago, when I was still young, I heard about something very strange from the old lady in the tea house. Although the old lady was already very forgetful at that time, she could still tell the story of the courtesan. As the rumors, there was a courtesan who was fascinating at that time, but her personality was extremely bad and disgusting. The old lady at that time said that in her childhood and middle age, she had seen a courtesan with such characteristics as 0.9. What makes people wonder is that those courtesans like to use the name with G, and they also have a unique habit. That is, whenever they get angry, they will tilt their heads and stare at others from the bottom up. Chapter 357. Guiwuwushao's meeting. So who are you? You're not a human. Swish. Almost as the madam finished speaking. The opposite of the fallen girl. His true body has been revealed. Sharp fingers. He pressed it directly on the madam's head. Jump out the window. The two of them rose high in the air 100 meters high. Under the bright moonlight. A vicious and evil smile appeared on Duji's face. Facing the madam with a terrified face in her palm. Said viciously, 25. Even if you really notice something like this, you should close your mouth. This is what makes you think of a smart way of living. Everyone survives this way. You obviously seem to have lived at such an old age, but you didn't expect that you didn't even understand such a simple truth. It seems that you are much stupider than I thought. It's really a pity that Mitsu. But you don't have to be so scared at all. Your shriveled flesh of the elderly is not delicious at all. What's more, old and ugly dirty things, I will never eat them. I will throw you on the ground and make you become a mess and farewell forever, Sanjin. As the words fell, Duoji threw the madam in her hand towards the ground. Bang! Amid a shrill scream. The body of the madam. It turned into a pool of blood directly on the ground. However, when Duji returned to her room with satisfaction. But he was shocked to find out. Now, in her room, a handsome man with a strong aura was sitting. It was hundreds of years ago. The Ghost King ghost dance that gave her strength is not miserable. How are you doing, Fuling Ji? Guiwu Wusun spoke first. There was still a faint smile on his face. It seems that for the female ghost in front of me who ranks at the end of winning ghost. Very satisfied. It seems that I have eaten a lot of people, and my strength has also become much stronger than before. This is a good thing. But even so, don't be careless about the smoother things go, the more likely things will be to make mistakes. It's my subordinate who understands it. Duoji quickly crawled on the ground with a grateful look on his face. The man opposite. 693 is the highest god in her heart. The other party's words. It is a decree that cannot be disobeyed by the imperial edict. The masters in the ghost-killing team and the strong men of the pillar level can tell that we are ghosts at a glance. But apart from experts like Pillar, we can hardly see what the difference is between other ordinary humans. Guiwu continued with a slight emotion. Although we can distinguish the types of blood, diseases, genes, etc., these things that humans still don't understand. Chapter 358 killed 7 pillars. But it is undeniable that there are many things in them that we can't understand for the time being. So the fallen girl. Yes, Lord Wusun. Duoji immediately raised her head with excitement on her face and responded. And Gui Wuyu slowly stood up. Step forward. In a very gentle tone. He lifted the other person's cheek and said. I'm looking forward to your performance. You are more beautiful than anyone else and are still very strong. So far, you have successfully killed 7 pillars. In my heart, you have always been a special ghost. Next, you will definitely become stronger and more cruel. The management system that does not have both soft and hard work. With his icy caress, the body of Duoji couldn't help but tremble slightly. Only. But she wasn't afraid. But because of excitement. Swish. The flashback in my mind ended. The fallen girl swung her out casually. My wife's kind-hearted figure. He flew backwards. Hit hard into the opposite wall. Don't touch me casually, you a stinky little guy who is arrogant. The blue veins on the forehead of the doji burst out. Obviously, murderous intent has arisen in my heart. He scolded with disgust. It seems you need some discipline, some severe discipline. I apologize to you, please let her go. At this moment, a middle-aged man ran over quickly. Then he folded his hands and fell to the ground. With a look of fear, he said to the opposite G. The store is about to open, and customers will also flock to you. I will definitely teach him a good lesson, so please calm down. It's all for my sake. The expression on Duji's face changed slightly. The eyes swept for 4 weeks. And those hiding in the corners. Look at the geishas here. The anger in her heart was barely suppressed by her. Boss, please raise your head. The fallen girl changed her previous bad expression. A soft and sweet smile suddenly appeared on his face. He smiled and said to the male boss kneeling on the ground. It seems that I am too fierce to the new child, so please treat her quickly. Actually, I should be the one who is sorry. Since people often make me angry, and there seem to be a little too many things that annoy me. I'm going to dress up now. Work is about to start. I'll clean up the room quickly. After saying that, trash. The fallen girl took steps. He walked into the interior room gently. Go and ask someone to help, quickly clean up the whole place. I warn you, no one should annoy the courtesan of Fernji. The male shop owner quickly stood up like an amnesty. He shouted to the people behind him. Chapter 359 Take the bait. And the fallen girl who walked into the room. Still recalling the moment when I took action. The touch from the hands. That yellow-haired little devil just now should have a minor injury from the touch. Although he lost consciousness, he adjusted his falling posture with a defensive posture at the moment when he was knocked away by me. So this guy is definitely not an ordinary person, he should be a member of the Ghost Kill team, right? But he doesn't have the strength of a pillar-level strongman. HMPH. Fallen girl looks in front of the mirror. While putting on makeup. While 040 was sneering with a proud face. And facing yourself in the mirror. Murmur. Although it took a little more time, I finally took the bait. Just let the horse come over. Ghost killing team, you'd better send a few more people, so that I can kill and eat them all. And at the same time, the other side of the street, Tanjiro Kawaman was holding some of the newly dried clothes in his hands. Standing by the corridor, looking at the bright moon in the night sky. But there was a look of worry on his face. On the night of this street, there was a turbid smell. It seems to be foreshadowing what will happen next. On the other side, the uneasy emotions also began to spread throughout the entire Jingji house. It began to spread widely. A geisha came to the male boss's house in a panic look. The face was full of uneasiness. He bowed and reported to him something. "What did you say? That child is missing." On the face of the male boss, a look of extreme surprise suddenly appeared. He turned his head and looked at the geisha who was kneeling outside the door and asked angrily. "Yes." The geisha quickly answered truthfully. "That's the one called the child who is good, the one with yellow hair. After she fainted, we let her rest in her room, but when we cleaned the room of the courtesan, and when we went back to find her in the room, we found that his people were no longer visible." "Boss, do you need me to call more people to find her whereabouts?" "No need, stop looking for it." The male boss seemed to realize something. The expression on the face also changed drastically. He lowered his head in fear. "Continue to count the accounts, he has not finished yet," he said while speaking. "No need to waste people and continue to ruin her. She must have escaped or hid somewhere. Anyway, it didn't cost much money, that is, I don't know where she escaped, so let's go with her. What happened to her now has nothing to do with us. Anyway, she took the initiative to escape. In that case, we don't have to continue to worry about her." Chapter 360 Meeting. The male boss buried his head deeply on the table. "Don't look at the geisha outside the door." And in his tone, there is deep fear and trembling. He had guessed what the result was. "But boss, is she still a child?" The geisha outside the door seemed to have not realized it yet. What does the strange expression on the male boss's face mean? Still ready to plead for the poor child in her eyes. Only. She just spoke. The male boss's furious roar came directly from inside the room. "Can't you, a fool, close your penis? Hurry up and leave me. Remember, from now on, I will definitely not mention Shanzi's name again. And you are not allowed to tell everyone else about Shanzi's disappearance, and you are not allowed to tell this matter out," the male boss said with a trembling voice. "You just need to remember what I just said, and tell others that it is because it angered the courtesan of Fern, which causes such unpleasant things. Whether it's Shanzi or Sanjin, they are all the same. They are all blamed for angering Miss Fern G. If you don't want to end up like them, I advise you to take care of your own opinions." The geisha outside the door obviously heard the trembling in the male boss's voice this time. "Although I don't know why this is for. But what I said just now is already very obvious. The male boss obviously knows some inside stories that others don't know. So. He is so afraid. The courtesan whom I support in my store. Only. What exactly he knows? This is something outsiders don't know. Maybe he only knows it himself. Soon. The agreed investigation period has expired. Tanjiro Kaoru and Inosuke Tore. We arrived at the meeting place that was agreed upon in advance. I really have ghosts there. Hoppei Inosuke stood on the roof. He began to describe the Kuraushiro, who was singing his teeth and claws. He was in the room that day. The feeling of the ghost. Only. Because he didn't see the other person's appearance with his own eyes. Just by keen perception. I noticed the other party's existence. So. He was describing the appearance of the ghost, that Tanjiro of the sauceman. It's just what he imagined. However. Such a way of describing. But it was a pain in the opposite sauceman Tanjiro. His harp was so confusing that he looked confused. That Inosuke, please wait a moment. Tanjiro Zaoman said with a cramped look on his face and said. It's almost time to contact regularly. Mr. Yume and Simony should be here soon and meet us. Chapter 361 He can't come. At that time, you will tell him the clues you found. I guess Lord Yuxi can definitely tell the ghost you are talking about, right? However, almost the moment Tanjiro Sagaman finished speaking, a familiar voice. Then it came from not far behind the two of them. I'm afraid that Kid Simon won't come here today. I don't know when. Yuxi Tianyuan actually appeared not far behind the two of them. At this moment, I was sitting there quietly. The expression on his face was slightly solemn. If he hadn't spoken on his own initiative. Tanjiro Kaoru and Inosuke Tore. He can't find his existence at all. And Tanjiro Zaoman also seemed to have something from the other person's expression on his face. A worried look suddenly appeared on his face. He quickly asked, "What the hell is going to do if you say Zenyi won't come?" And the side of the Gaze Inosuke. I am more concerned about Yuxi Tianyuan's skills. Because, even if he has a strong perception, but it still failed to appear when Yuxi Tianyuan appeared. Successfully captured the other party's traces. Not only did he hear no sound at all. Even the wind. Nothing caused any turmoil. This means that Yuxi Tianyuan's strength. It is much more than him and Tanjiro. He is truly a strong man at the pillar level. Only. In the heart of Inosuke. The real strong man. Yi Yu is the only one. That night was on Spider Mountain. Yi Yu's attack was done casually. It can be said that it was deeply buried in the heart of Inosuke Yuke. Become him. Since becoming self-aware. A absolutely unreasonable signpost. Even if the strength in front of you is so strong. Let the Inosuke who felt that he could not pursue was not able to pursue. It is also impossible to compare with Yi Yu. It was probably because of my wrong decision that hurt you. Yuxi Tianyuan looked deep at the street below. After a while of silence. Then he murmured. I want to save my wife so much, so I made several misjudgments on the current situation. Since last night, I have lost contact with that kid Simon. Until now, I can almost conclude that Zenyi is missing like my 3 wives. And for the sake of safety in the future, you two should leave Yoshihara Flower Street while it's daytime. After all, the level of you two is too low. If 1.3 is the ghost here, it is really like the information sent by Mr. Yi Yu and his 2 subordinates, who are sending them, it is the ghost. Even if you two continue to stay here, they can't deal with it at all. I can't help me with much help. And in my eyes, those who have lost contact can already be regarded as dead. Chapter 362 Complete the mission before Hawkeye. I will be solely responsible for the subsequent actions. The expression on Yuxi Tianyuan's face. It's all said. Complex situation in Yoshihara Flower Street. It is completely different from the surface phenomenon he had expected before. It seems now. The winding ghost hidden here. It is no longer something that ordinary team members of the demon-killing team can handle. So next. The most reasonable arrangement is the action alone. This can effectively avoid fearless casualties. And it can also effectively save time. No, Mr. Yuxi, we won't leave. After hearing this, Tanjiro Kaoru. He shouted suddenly at the top of his lungs. In his eyes. Before Hawkeye and Zoro. Complete this task assigned by the Lord Shikia. It can be said that it's more than anything else. All need important priorities. Because in Tanjiro Sagomung's heart, although it may be of your own strength, I will never be able to catch up with Yi Yu's amazingness. But I don't want to let my ghost-kill team in this secret battle with members of the Dragon Empire losing so badly. So, this mission, no matter what, even if you have to pay your life. Tanjiro Kaoru must also hurry before Zoro and Hawkeye arrive. Help Yuxi Tianyuan complete the task of killing winning ghost. Only. Yuxi Tianyuan on the opposite side seemed to not only appreciate his affection. The voice was like that as his face looked. It gradually became cold. You two don't have to be ashamed. The person who can survive is the real winner. Don't be like me, because I missed the opportunity many times because of the bondage of love. This mission is of great importance. Even if I die here, I must be in the Dragon Empire. The two swordsmen will complete this mission before the arrival of the two swordsmen. And through Crow, I have already received the news that those two swordsmen will arrive at Yoshihara Flower Street in 1 day and a half. Before this, I heard Purgatory Atsushiro talk about their strength, so if we wait until then, the situation will be 490, we will be completely in charge of the Demon Slayer. Yuxi Tianyuan did not finish his words. But as the words fell, the body disappeared from the spot directly. I can't wait to find the trace of the winding ghost. No matter his 3 wives. It was still my wife, Shan Yi, who disappeared last night. The reason for the current result is Yuxi Tianyuan will take all the responsibility. All blamed on your own wrong judgment. So, Yuxi Tianyuan is actually very guilty in his heart. Chapter 363 Tengwa Diao. Plus. This time the task is very important. It is related to the Lord Shikia and the honor of the entire demon-killing team. No matter how much the Yuxi Tianyuan pays. It must also be before Zoro and Hawkeye. Complete this mission. Hey, uncle, wait for us. UK Inosuke shouted angrily. However, Tanjiro Zaoman said with a disappointed look on his face. Maybe because we are at the lowest level, no matter how much we give, we will not be able to get the trust of the pillar-level strongman, right? For a moment. Tanjiro Kaoru is because of his weakness. And he began to be frowning. I feel like I'm doing something. Not help at all. However. On the side, Inosuke, who was standing aside, immediately retorted with sternness. Hey, bastard, what are you talking about? Our level as Jang, obviously, has improved a lot. Suspicion of Viagra said angrily. We have moved from the lowest level to the 4th to the last level. Don't you even know this common sense? While talking, Inosuke Hirai put his fist. He reached directly in front of Tanjiro Kaoru. Show class. Through the expansion of words and muscles meet. The corresponding patterns appeared on the back of Inosuke's hand. It is their current level, Jang. This is formed by a special technology called vine flower carving. It is the exclusive mark of the demon-killing team members. Can follow him, their strength increases. Gradually improve the corresponding level. However, Tanjiro Zaoman looked confused. My head was full of question marks. Idiot, why do you show that expression on your face? We are on the mountain of wisteria flowers. Didn't they make a good gesture in our hands? Inosuke Hirai uses his unique method. He explained the origin of this mark to Tanjiro Seigo. Although I had the impression of wiping around, I was so tired at that time. Now I don't know what's going on. Tanjiro Zaoman said with a sad look on his face. But sorrow comes quickly. But it's fast. Tanjiro, who had regained his confidence, immediately said to welcome. But you're right, now is not the time to say such things. Since Mr. Yuri has left, I decided that after nightfall tonight, I will immediately rush to your Ogimoto house. You wait till dark, otherwise it would be too dangerous to do it alone. After we meet, we join forces together, we will surely be able to pull out the ghost hidden there. Idiot, what are you talking about? That guy Son Yi is gone. And the ghost in the store I am in can escape at that speed, obviously there is a secret way in the house. Chapter 364 Judgment. Inosuke Yoshihiro raised his fist. He directly gave Tanjiro, the opposite Sadogan, 2 punches. Secret way. A flash of inspiration flashed in Tanjiro Zaoman's mind. It seems like I have discovered something. I immediately said with a happy face. You are right, and the ghost you encountered is probably not as wandering back and forth between inside and outside the store. In other words, this ghost is probably the person who works in the store, and this possibility is very high. If he really succeeds in getting into the store, the more skillfully he can disguise himself as a human being. If 837 is true, then when this winding ghost kills people, it will naturally become more and more cautious. This is done so that people don't find it. Naturally, it will take more effort than other ghosts to avoid exposing their whereabouts. So that's the case, but after killing someone, it takes time and time to deal with the aftermath. Hope Inusuke pinched his chin. I also began to think about it. And there is no way to deal with it so easily if you eliminate human blood. Face the question of Inusuke Tokai. Tanjiro Zaoman didn't know how to answer. Because he couldn't guess the style of this ghost. And they didn't leave so much time to think. We must seize the two powerful swordsmen sent by Yi Yu. Only by solving the winding ghost here is enough. Only. Tanjiro Zaoman has his own judgment on this. After thinking about it. Then he continued to speak. This is Night Street, although there are many favorable factors for ghost. But there are actually many inconvenient places. For example, you have to work at night, and if you are not here, it will immediately arouse suspicion. So I think that Simone, who disappeared last night, and the 3 wives of Mr. Yume who had disappeared before, are still alive for the time being. If we want to rescue them now, we must take this as a prerequisite for extremely secret actions. Then next, let the two of us show our skills in front of the pillar-level powerhouses. Next. Tanjiro Kaoru quickly made it to these days. All the information he and Inusuke collected was reviewed. And come up with a very close to the facts. And a very amazing conclusion. Open black lens bracket the House of the Times close black lens bracket, open black lens bracket Ogimoto House close black lens bracket, and open black lens bracket Kyoko House close black lens bracket underground. There should be a secret passage that connects each other. That ghost. It is precisely what it takes to use. Such a favorable condition that is not easy to detect. Only then can you disguise yourself as a geisha in the store. God does not know. Without realizing it. Under the eyes of ghost-killing team and the world. Eat one human after another. Chapter 365 Say goodbye. The two then discussed some countermeasures. Then they left separately. Back to their respective lurking geisha houses. Open black lens bracket the House of Time close black lens bracket. The room where the Li Sha Wa Ji Yu is located. I've all been dressed up, so you two will go to have a meal. The carp and the courtesan smiled gently. Facing the 2 little maids beside you. He said softly. The 2 little maids then jumped and left her room. And just after the 2 left. Tanjiro, who put on the ghost-killing team costume again. Carrying a wooden box. Appeared behind Li Sha Wa Gua. Miss Li Sha, I'm just taking the liberty to bother you at this time. I'm about to leave the House of Times. Tanjiro Kaoru's expression was extremely respectful. He spoke in a deep voice. Can you ask for your help and transfer the food expenses and other expenses I spent while I was in the store to the boss and the others? After saying that, Tanjiro Kaoru immediately put an envelope full of banknotes. Push forward slowly. The courtesan Lixia turned his head and looked at Tanjiro Kaoru. On a beautiful and gorgeous face. A look of surprise. Murmur. Xiao Tan, what's your outfit? For some reason before, I had to dress up like a girl but in fact, my real gender is male. Quote. Tanjiro Zaoman said truthfully with a serious look on his face. Of course I've known this matter for a long time before I can tell you who you are. And your voice doesn't look like a girl at all. Li Sha Wa Gua said with a clear smile. After seeing Tanjiro, the opposite Kawaman looked confused. The smile on her face became stronger and stronger. Covering with his hands, he said. I mean, I actually knew you were a boy from the very beginning. Although I have thought about why you came here for. But after seeing your well-behaved look, I still resisted not exposing your actions. But now that you have restored your previous outfit, I guess what happened here is, you should be really worried about being fucked, right? Yes, it's true that I really didn't lie. Tanjiro Zaoman nodded heavily and said. 0. I will definitely rescue all those missing. If that's the case, then I really have to thank you. The carp and summer ceremonies are very unexpected. There was no surprise on his face. Instead, he said with a faint smile. If this happens, I can feel a little relieved. I will leave this street tomorrow. Really? That's really great. A happy smile appeared on Tanjiro Kawaman's face. Then he said excitedly. It seemed like he was happy for the Li Sha courtesan opposite. Chapter 366 The Winding Appears. Yes, even I didn't expect that someone like me would marry someone like me. Li Sha Wagua said with some self-deprecating words. But I really feel very happy now. But, it is precisely because of this reason that I am even more worried about everyone who still wants to stay here. After this, even if something suspicious happens here, I probably can't continue investigating it. But it would be great if you could end it all. But you, be careful when you act, I don't want you to disappear together, Shouton. On Tanjiro Kawaman's face, a look of gratitude suddenly appeared. Then he had a brief chat with Li Sha Wagua. He then went through the window. He jumped out, leaving. Only. After this simple farewell. Didn't you ever think about it? It wasn't long before Tanjiro left the room at Sosman. Behind the courtesan. Then there was a slight noise again. A figure of a charming female figure. It slowly emerges from the colorful ribbon. Standing condescendingly behind Li Sha Wagu. It is the fallen goddess who is winning String Land. Xiao Tan, did you have something left? A bright smile appeared on the face of the Li Sha Wagong. She thought. The one behind her now. It was Tanjiro, who had just left. But when he looked back. But he was shocked to find out. There was another figure standing behind her. You're right. It seems that I'll have to eat you first tonight, so as not to forget it. After all, after tonight, you will not be here anymore, right? The expression on Duji's face was extremely ferocious. Sharp fangs. It even made the spine of Li Sha on the opposite side feel cold. However, at this time, Tanjiro Kaoru. He was standing on the roof and looking around. Trying to use his keen sense of smell. To capture the traces of ghost. Only. The sun sets soon. But he still found nothing. Can only stand up slowly. He ran towards the Ogimotoya where Inosuke Yuhei was. But at this moment, with the breeze blowing through the air, suddenly there was a faint sweet smell. This taste. It immediately made Tanjiro creepy. Yes, this is the taste of ghost. Tanjiro Zaoman never thought it. Near him. There is actually Ghost 1.7. And. It still happened when the weather was not completely dark. Only. At this moment, Tanjiro Kaoru could not accurately locate the position of this ghost. I could only stand on the roof with anxiety on my face. Keep looking around. How can I get closer to the location of the ghost little by little? Chapter 367 Attack. Time passes by bit. In the blink of an eye. Night has completely come. The Ogimotoya where Inosuke is located. Inosuke Yoshihira sat cross-legged in the room. Looking at the darkening night outside the window. An angry look appeared on his face. The sun has already set, and that bastard Tanjiro of Sosman has not come yet. That idiot doesn't care. I want to go out alone first. I want to become an existence that is enough to surpass Yi Yu, that strong guy. How can I continue to waste here 25? As the words fell. UK Inosuke actually bent down and jumped upwards. Bang! He suddenly knocked a big hole out of the ceiling. Then. He said to the two little mice waiting there early. Hurry, come over my knife. Inside the ceiling. Two mice were carrying two high royal swords that Inosuke used by her eye. He trotted all the way over. And these two mice. It is the ninju beast muscle meat rat that Yuxi Tianyuan does. They have undergone special training. Has extremely high wisdom and strength. The grip strength is also very strong. Just a mouse. You can raise a hydroop knife. After taking the double swords, Inosuke Yoshihira took over the. Don't even think about it. Put on your own wild boar hood directly. Then he rushed out with a bang. On the other side. My wife, Samono and Hinaki disappeared in the Kyoko house. The male boss sat in the room with dull eyes. looking at the bloody cloak of the deceased wife. Quietly. Don't know what you're thinking. However, it's at this moment. A cold and sharp blade. But it hit his neck directly. Where are Shanzi and Hinaki going? I advise you to make a long story short. Yuxi Tianyuan said in a very cold tone. And no rhetorical questions are allowed. Extraordinary times. He naturally has to use some extraordinary means. The dagger in hand. It dripped directly on the male boss's throat. It exudes a cold feeling. It makes people feel chilled. He is gone, Shanshanzi. And the Chinensis was sick, but cut the store. The male boss was immediately frightened and as cold as a cicada 477. He didn't even feel when Yuxi Tianyuan was showing behind yourself. Sweat suddenly flowed from my forehead. I had to do it all. Truly take what he knows. All said. And what he said about cutting the store. It refers to these traveling villages in Yoshihara Flower Street. The lowest and simple store. Tell me all the clues you know. Are there any suspicious guys in your store? Chapter 368 Priority Order. What the male boss just mentioned. Yuxi Tianyuan actually knew about it through investigation. Not to mention. He seemed to feel it. The aura of fear emanates from the male boss. So. Yuxi Tianyuan asked like this. Believe me, tell me. Yuxi Tianyuan gradually moved the dagger in his hand away. Give the male boss more room to breathe. Now is not a good time to apply pressure again. This is for Yuxi, who is proficient in interrogation. Very familiar. It seems that I can see the concerns in the male boss's heart. He continued to add. I will definitely kill the guy who makes you scared and avenge you. In front of the male boss. It seemed as if his wife Sanjin looked like again. After a brief silence. He made up his mind. Take everything you know in your heart. Say it all out. He's betting. The powerful man behind bet on his back. It can really be as he said. Successfully deal with the woman that makes people feel scared. There is a courtesan named Feniji who lives in a room on the north side that cannot be taken by sunlight. However, the boss hasn't finished speaking yet. I felt a breeze blowing. And when he looked back, it was discovered that it's behind him now. It's already empty. The man who just asked about himself. It has long disappeared. He should be able to do it, right? The male boss held his clothes tightly. I thought in a very tangled mood. And Yuxi Tianyuan is moving rapidly. Finally came what the male boss said. The room where the courtesan of Frenji is located. Only. When he opened the door. But no Feniji was found. And any ghost aura. It seems that she should have gone out to hunt humans while the night is coming. Thinking of this. Yuxi Tianyuan decided to explore the aura of this winding ghost. While leading the way to Hinaki. If she is still alive. There should be a lot of useful information. Anyway, no matter what. After dawn. That winding ghost will definitely come back here. By then. Even if Yuxi Tianyuan found no new clues. Just return to this place. It's the same. Let's make a final conclusion with her. After making up your mind. Yuxi Tianyuan's body is as fast as lightning. Walking back and forth across the houses on both sides of the street. At the same time. Tanjiro, who was standing on the roof, searching around. He also finally used his extraordinary valley of smell. Along the faint smell. Returned to Li Sha Wagu's room. However. The moment he pushed open the window. But what I saw was another demonic, beautiful and dangerous woman. It is the fallen goddess who is above the 12 ghost moons. Chapter 369, One Blow. Look at your outfit, it should be Ghost Hunter. Fulakami looked at Tanjiro, who was squatting at the window, staring blankly. A disdainful sneer appeared on his face. I'm finally here, right? How many people have you come this time? Is there an ugly guy with yellow hair among them? Is there a column? It should be coming soon. From your breath, you probably haven't reached the level of pillars yet. If you want to deal with me, if the person coming is not a pillar, even if there are many people, there will be no chance of winning at all. The Duoji mocked Tanjiro, who was stunned by the opposite side. 883 while continuing to activate vampire technique. With her ribbon. Continue to swallow the body of the Li Shaowaji. Hey, stinky little guy, I'm not interested in people who are not pillar at all. And I don't eat dirty elderly people, nor do I eat ugly guys. A guy like you with that kind of birthmark on his head is definitely not in my recipes. Hurry up and let go of the Li Shaowa gong. After a brief shock, Tanjiro Kaoru suddenly discovered the body of the guys of the opposite side. It's completely gone. Now, only one ribbon was left that was made by the Suli. Tightly wrapped around there. What the hell is going on? But the carp and Shahua did not bleed. And Tanjiro Kaoru didn't smell the bloody smell at all. But the other person's body. It just disappeared strangely. Is it the special hurting ghost opposite? Just when Tanjiro Zaoman was confused. The opposite of the fallen girl. But he had already been given the tough words of his just now. Totally irritated. Bastard, who do you think you are talking to? The blue veins on the forehead of Duji burst out. While the voice sounded. 2 5-color ribbons that are as light as a spiritual snake. Suddenly he whistled towards Tanjiro, the opposite sauceman. Bang! Even Tanjiro Zaoman was prepared for a long time. But the store is still in front of such a huge force. He was directly bombarded from afar. Even if he was in the last critical moment. Draw out Hydroop knife to resist. But the power is huge. While bombing him out, it still made his hands numb. Cough 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 cough. Tanjiro Kaoru came back to his senses from the ruins at this time. Is this the strength of winning ghost? The movement is really fast. With his current strength, the opponent's speed is completely impossible. After receiving the attack just now, Tanjiro's hands and feet, until now, still can't use any strength. Even my body became numb. But if you don't want to be eaten, then you must force yourself to calm down immediately. Chapter 370, Good Eyes, I dug it. Call. So after the respiratory method was activated, Tanjiro Zaoman endured the severe pain in his body. He stood up again. Cold sweat on the forehead. It can't stop flowing down. Even though he was holding the hydron knife with both hands at this moment. But he still has no confidence. After all, the enemy is wind string land. And his hands and feet. It doesn't take any effort. This is because in his heart. Actually, I'm feeling scared. And the body also became numb. It's because his back. I just suffered a strong impact. These are all normal additional effects. After eliminating one's own side situation, Tanjiro Zaoman began to quickly analyze the opposite Fuji again. First of all, the opponent's weapon. It is a ribbon with special abilities. It can absorb people into the belt. It's no wonder he had searched in the house for so long before this. There is no secret passage that can make people walk with you. It turns out that as long as there are gaps that can allow ribbons to pass through, then this ghost, God doesn't know it, unconsciously, successfully kidnapped the person. You're still alive. Haha, it seems that you have more backbone than I expected. Duoji appeared at the window with disdainful expression on her face. Looking at Tanjiro Kawaman who slowly stood up opposite him. He sneered disdainfully again. Your eyes look good, they look beautiful. Then I will just dig out your eyes and eat them in front of you. However, facing the ridicule of the fallen goddess, Tanjiro Zaoman did not choose to attack urgently. Instead, start checking your current state again. Rewind and touched it. The box containing my sister Miduzi. The box is not broken. There was no damage either. But if it was like before, if you are attacked with great force, I'm afraid it's going to break. 0. But he carried the shoulder strap of the box. But it broke one of the blows just now. Rewind and gently place the box on the ground. Miduzi, I'm sorry. The shoulder strap was interrupted in the hit just now. I can't continue fighting with you on my back. Unless you are under life-threatening attack, please don't come out of the box. Oh. After Tanjiro Kawaman gave instructions to his sister in the box. He then took the lead in launching the attack. Open black lens bracket water breathing, silly type, hidden chaos close black lens bracket. The blue water flowing slashes. After a dazzling series of attacks, Tanjiro Kaoru actually successfully cut off the sauna. The broken belt wrapped inside is the head of a carp and a flower courtesan. The incision where the blood is broken. It kept gushing outward. Bang! And the furious fallen girl. He also punched Tanjiro Kazuno and flew heavily to the ground. Chapter 371 Found 1. Only. Until this moment. She really faced it. The one on the opposite side looks a little naive. And the strength is not as strong as the pillar level at all. The opponent's move just now looks very skillful. And the most important thing is that Tanjiro Zaoman is very accurate. Cut the part of the ribbon that bound the carp and the courtesan. This battle. Suddenly, Duoji felt interesting. It's quite cute, although it's a little ugly. The poisonous tongue attribute of the Fulver girl broke out. Look with a grim smile. Said to Tanjiro, the opposite sauceman. Poor little thing, you really can't help but make people feel pity. You little mouse struggling, let me end your life today. And Tanjiro, the sauceman. His face looked like he was facing a great enemy. The strength of Winding Land is indeed as terrifying as a hiss. But if that man is here, I'm afraid he will kill the other person in seconds. For some reason. In Tanjiro Sagamon's mind. At this moment, Yiyu's extremely powerful figure appeared. Even two pillar-level strong men are not his opponents. Now this wind string land. It probably isn't a problem, right? And now. He is the only one who faces the Winding Land alone. Is there really a chance to win? Sound pillar Yuxi Tianyuan doesn't know where it is. My wife, Shan Yi, is missing again. And Inosuke Yuhei is still waiting for his news in Ogimotoya. If only one person deals with such a powerful ghost. Tanjiro Zaoman was unsure of the truth. Cold sweat flowed downward from the forehead. But now, no matter how you look at it, it is not a good time to worry about such things. Because no matter what, if you want to win back a battle in front of the Dragon Empire for the ghost-killing team, they all have to snatch Hawkeye and Zoro. Successfully killed this winding ghost. At the same time, the other side. Open black lens bracket see close black lens bracket the destructive street where it is located. This street. It can be said that it is the lowest level Yuguo in the entire Yihara Flower Street. Stay here. All of them are unable to take the initiative to attract customers. Or those geishas with some special disease. All will be sent here. And Yuxi Tianyuan, who was rushing all the way. Finally in a dilapidated room. He hit his wife Hanari who was completely tied up by a ribbon. Swish 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 swish. Dozens of sharp kunai were thrown out. 2.0. The ribbon was completely nailed to the wall. And the crane inside. It also rolled out. Yuxi Tianyuan's body flashed. Extend your arms. Hinaki picked her up directly before she fell to the ground. And take a pill of antidote. I'm so sorry, Lord Tianyuan. Chapter 372 The reason for being imprisoned. Who can imagine it? After the Chinin regained consciousness. The first sentence I said was an apology. Yes. Because this is a big deal that concerns the honor of her husband. But she did not complete the task perfectly. Stop talking. Yuxi Tianyuan said with pity on his face. And the gloomy expression on his face. It proves the anger in his heart at this moment. Waiting for a formal outbreak. Sir Tianyuan, you really don't have to care about my situation now, please leave. I guess you also know the identity of the winding ghost, she is the Phage of Fern. So. 25 inches don't worry about me, please leave quickly. You should have heard the sound of the battle just now, right? That ghost is raging now. Hina, he said in a very weak tone. Although her current situation, already very weak. But in her heart, I am still thinking about Yuxi Tianyuan's mission. Because she knows. This man I love deeply. This time. But I bear the whole ghost kill team. An unprecedented arduous task. Are you really okay? Yuxi Tianyuan's face. A look of concern appeared. Although he has always. They are all displayed to everyone in the style of a tough guy. But in fact, in his heart, I care about these 3 wives very much. If that's not the case, he definitely won't, either. So anxious. Then he brought the 3 of Tanjiro, the sauceman. Help yourself find out about the whereabouts of your wives. Well, Lord Tianyuan, I'm really sorry that I didn't come in handy for your mission this time. Hina frowned. His face was extremely pale. The tone also became full of sadness. As one of the wives of Yuxi Tianyuan. Except this time. Although she successfully noticed the Fern Caucasian. It is the winding ghost that Yuxi Tianyuan and the entire ghost-killing team are looking for. But at the same time, her actions also aroused the other party's suspicion. And being watched by Fernji at all times. It's difficult to take action. Then, the chick poisons his diet. Then pretend to be sick. Try to successfully escape from Kyokoya. Only. On the way out. But she received it. A farewell gift from the courtesan of Fern. 337. A long ribbon. Naturally, the other party is not that kind-hearted. And her purpose? It is to monitor and kill the chick. Once something happens, the Fern girl can also deal with the young crane immediately. This is why. Hinahi clearly discovered the other party's suspicious behavior. But there is no way. The root cause of effectively delivering messages. And this one is enough to devour humans. And seal the ribbons in it. Then under the attack of Yuxi Tianyuan. It was nailed to death. Tween the wall behind the man. Chapter 373 Underground Nest. Blood slowly flowed down from the ribbon. In this gloomy scene. It looks particularly scary. Stop talking, you don't have to do anything. Yuxi Tianyuan held the chicken who was trapped in extreme weakness. He spoke slowly. After the antidote is officially effective, you should leave Yoshihara Flower Street quickly. Do you understand? I'll leave everything here to me to deal with next. Yes, Lord Tianyuan, you should go and clean up that ghost. Tears of happiness overflowed from the corners of the chick's eyes. He nodded very well. The two then exchanged a few more greetings. After giving me some news about the fallen girl. Yuxi Tianyuan is like a black lightning bolt. Go back to the roof. Towards the direction where Suhi and Tanjiro Kaoru are. Running all the way. Only. Just after running for a while. Yuxi Tianyuan was vented from under the ground. It was attracted directly to the other side. Swish swish swish. The figure is rising and falling. Yuxi Tianyuan jumped onto the ground. He is under the ground. I noticed a seemingly vague ghost aura. If not close to here. I'm afraid it's impossible to detect it in the distance. Yuxi Tianyuan suddenly bent down. Put your ears close to the ground. Gradually. He uses his ability to listen. I heard the sound of someone fighting below. That echo is very clear. Instructions are directly below the ground. There is a huge hole that can accommodate hundreds of people. And there. If nothing unexpected happens. It should be the nest where the ghosts gather. Only. If you want to get there. It seems to be very narrow. Even children cannot access the narrow passages that have passed normally. Shang Yuxi Tianyuan has an extremely strong body. Naturally, it is impossible to pass smoothly from those passages. What? Dig a tunnel into it. How is that possible? Yuxi Tianyuan then took out the two swords behind him. Open black lens bracket sound breath katakana middle dot I type katakana middle dot roar close black lens bracket. For more novels 159,424 join. As the Yuxi Tianyuan of Second Swords. These two handfuls in his hand. The shape is like a razor. But it can cause an explosion. And the extraordinary power-breaking knife. In previous battles, there is no ghost yet, after hitting his critical strike, can survive successfully. Therefore, the structure of his two-hydron knife. It is not known to outsiders. It seems very mysterious. It is also for this consideration the Lord gave Yaya Shikia. Only then will send Yushi Tianyuan, who is not ranked first, to complete the task. Rumble. Gram. The earth was hit by an extremely violent blow. Suddenly, it started to tremble violently. The picture returns to the front battlefield. The battle between the fallen Haim and Tanjiro Kazunoman. It's still going on. Chapter 374, Can't the Knife Work? You little ugly bug, but it makes people feel extremely upset. Huh, what's going on over there? Who is chirping in my lair? It's really annoying. Yihara Flower Street changes occurring in various places on it. It seems to make Duji quite angry. Ogimoto House, there is also Hinaki there. The fallen girl seemed to sense that the ribbon she had been dealt with had disappeared. So his face was covered in ferociousness. Looking at Tanjiro, the Kawaman opposite, he spoke. Hey 710, stinky little guy, how many people have you come in total or therefore? I will never tell you. Tanjiro Zaoman refused firmly. Joke. How could he be? Put your own details of a group of people. What about the ghost leaked to the opposite side? After all, their mission this time. But before the two Zoro and Hawkeye sent by Yi Yu completed first. HMPH, if you give honest advice, maybe I can save your life. The Duoji said with a sinister smile. In her opinion, the ribbon he could use to comfort the young crane. The person who successfully killed. His strength is definitely not worse than the little devil in front of him. And it is very likely that he is a strong man at the pillar level. Because his ribbon. I didn't have time to make too many warnings to her. It was solved directly by someone. So, only when the fallen girl is worried. Stupid little guy, I just passed a few moves, and there was a gap in the knife in your hand. If you continue to fight, the result can be imagined. Duoji suddenly raised his hand with a smug look on his face. Pointing at the black Heidel knife held in Tanjiro Kaoru's hand, he said. I believe that the guy who created that rider knife for you must be a mediocre sword general. You can't even resist the attack of my ribbon. Do you think this Hydroop knife can really be used to defeat me? You're talking nonsense. Tanjiro Kaoru was furious. Justice and shouted loudly. The person who forged this rider knife for me is a very, very powerful guy. He is a knife maker with superb skills. I will never allow you to slander Mr. Steel Tomb. Oh really, is that true? Quote. A look of disgust appeared on the face of Duji. He sneered and said sarcastically. Okay, please tell me why the hydron knife in your hand collapsed after colliding with my ribbon several times. You idiot. Ah, it's so boring that it's so noisy everywhere. Chapter 375 Situation Analysis. My mood has become very bad, so I will kill you directly with the next blow. The murderous intention in the eyes of the fallen goddess is very strong. The cold sweat on Tanjiro's forehead opposite the opposite side. It has begun to flow downwards continuously. And in his heart. But he was thinking about the question that Duoji just mentioned. The reason why the knife breaks. That's entirely because. The reason why the user does not use it is good. So. It's his current strength. It is not enough to use breath of water freely. This will cause the hardness of the Hydroop knife to be insufficient. In the battle, a collapse occurred. However, after these battles, and the previous week of special training, it also made Tanjiro Kaoru realize deeply. Your own physique. Perhaps it is really not suitable for using breath of water. This does not mean that water breath is not strong. On the contrary, breath of water used by Yoshio Temuka, the mighty, is almost suffocating. Only. Regarding Tanjiro's physique, when using breath of water, He simply couldn't do it. Like his teacher, Mr. Linlong. And the degree of freedom to use his senior brother Yoshiyuki Temuka. If we talk about power alone. For Tanjiro, Sadogman. The power of breath of water. Anyway. All of them cannot be compared with the effect of the God of Fire God he has. After all, God of Fire. But their family. Kagura dance that has been passed down from generation to generation. With his body. Since childhood. The perfect fit has begun. But the problem also exists. Because the power of God of Fire God is too powerful. Even the current Tanjiro Sasman. It is also impossible to use God of Fire God to conduct continuous attacks one after another. Only. The current situation is critical. At the critical moment of life and death. Tanjiro Zaoman burst into an unprecedented victory. He began to encourage himself constantly. It can definitely be done. Used the God of Fire freely. In his heart. But there has always been an insurmountable goal. That's right. I must surpass that man. No. At least he should have caught up with that man. In Tanjiro Sagaman's mind. 0. Once again. Yi Yu's handsome face appeared involuntarily. The other party's powerful strength. It made him feel very pale and powerless. But then. The figure of Big Brother, Purgatory Atsuro. It also emerged. The other party's passionate tone. And unstoppable. An offensive as powerful as a flame. Keep going. Encouraged Tanjiro Kaoru's heart. Finally, he regained his confidence. And once again ignited the fighting spirit to become stronger. He has no way out now. I also have to restore my sister Miduzi to human identity. Open black lens bracket God of Fire God, Cannel, red mirror of fierce sun.